All right, the Coach Wimp Sanderson with us now on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. He's presented by the RentalWorks division of CraneWorks each week. Hello, Coach. How are you today?
I'm doing okay. Appreciate David and them having me on. I heard a little bit of the show this morning, so
it's not very good so far.
So I'm wrong, right, Wimp? I guess Kwanzaa should have fouled a little bit earlier.
Oh, sure he should have fouled. He's got fouled right away.
So you
can't
think
wait. You can't? Oh, that's not. There ain't no thinking to it. You can't get the basketball. If you get the rebound, you can't get it down the floor and get the decent shot in 3.1 seconds. You can't do it. He's got to foul.
So you foul in the backcourt right away.
I foul when they're sitting there holding the basketball. I certainly foul. I don't back off 5 feet and not guard the guy.
I saw Tyus Edney do it against Missouri in less than 3 seconds.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, that I don't care where you saw, but you ask the question. That's the answer to the question.
He's right.
So you foul and you foul quickly, and you put him to the line and do what you can to tie the game. The biggest problem, and I don't ever get on here and criticize coaches, as you know. But as long as you're going to take the Brown kid who's got 30 against Alabama and play him out there on the court like he's a basketball player instead of being underneath the goal, and they did it in the Alabama game and they did it last night in the Auburn game. And by the way, whichever team was 1 point ahead won the game. It was that close when the horn blew, and it just happened to be Auburn. If you put him underneath the basket like he should have been, then you have a much better chance of winning that basketball game if you're Missouri, and Missouri played hard and played well.
I saw it was Rob Pate, the former Auburn football player, who said, rarely can you get humbled in a victory. But he said that's what happened to Auburn last night. Do you believe that?
Well, I mean, it's fine to be number one. They were number one. We're not number one in the coaches poll. They were number one in the media poll. And there's two different polls. And certainly anytime that you be number one, that's great. You feel great about your team. They've done an outstanding job. Certainly don't want to not to understand that. But when you also are number one, it makes those guys play harder against you, more excited to play you, just like as Georgia was more excited to play Alabama, probably in the coaches' minds, than Alabama was to play Georgia. The excitement and the excitement brings better play, and it makes you play harder, and it's very, very difficult to keep your team playing at a high rate all the time. And sometimes when you play somebody that's really, really good like Auburn is, it excites you a great deal.
Well, and look, Coach, the fact is you played on the road. You held them to 54 points. You had 26 offensive boards, and your best player went 2 of 15, and you still won the game. Auburn doesn't have any problems. Auburn's going to be there in the end. They're probably going to be a number one overall seed. Alabama's got some issues. I know Brownie just said they're still 19 in Ken Palm right now, but they've lost 4 of 6. And Georgia is a team that is going in the wrong direction. They had lost 8 consecutive games. They had lost 9 of 10. They were defeated in the conference, 0-6 going into that game. That's a game you can't lose. Alabama can't hit shots. They're not playing with energy. They're not playing good defense. It's just not a good product right now.
Well, they didn't get off to a good start on either end of the court. I'm not sure how well they were ready to play, but they didn't make threes and didn't make shots and didn't rebound very well. But the biggest thing that you guys don't understand, they didn't do a good job of contesting the three. You have to contest shots if you're going to win, and they didn't get to Georgia's 3-point shooters. And also throughout the game, they did not guard the dribbler. You have to guard the dribbler. Look, fellas, if you dribble the basketball by you, then I'm going to take it to the basket for a layup, or I'm going to give it to somebody underneath the goal for an easy layup. I'm going to get something cheap. If Lance is guarding Ryan, and I take the ball to the basket, then Lance is going to get out there and help. And when he gets out there to help, I'm going to throw it to him, and he's going to shoot the three. But they don't do a good job of. They have not done a good job of defending the dribble drive. I'm not coaching their team, but I would think they would say the same thing if they were on this show, and they have not made threes. You're exactly right. So they start the game with a lot of turnovers. The Davison kid is going to be a good player. He's learning to play. Don't throw the ball to the man that you think is open. Throw the ball to the man who is open. And when you learn that, then you'll be a much better player. Now, I know Quinley's struggling some, and they're bringing him off the bench because they thought maybe that was the best way to do that. Have no idea whether that's good, bad, or none of the above. But those things that I've said to you are things that sometimes you don't look at. You don't really understand. You must guard the dribbler in order to be effective in the game of basketball.
Yeah, look, I haven't watched every second of Alabama this year. I've watched a lot of J.D. Davison, and now in that starting lineup. And you talk about, distributing the basketball for Davidson, and he's going to have to be able to do that to be effective at the next level. And I thought it was interesting. I don't know if you saw the scouting report on him. It gave him an A for athleticism, which there's no doubt, but it gave him an A for his passing ability. And I haven't seen that yet, Wimp.
No, I wouldn't think right now, and I'm not saying he's not a good passer. I haven't seen that in him because I think he's learning to play. I think the defense is overplayed. Look, what you do in the game of basketball as a coach is you work every day on putting the defensive guys. Let's just say you put them on the left hand side of the postman guarding him. Then what you do is take that dribble to the right hand to the opposite side, kick the bounce pass to him, lay it in. You must read the defense in order to be an effective player. Now, I don't understand if you understand that. Don't know if you understand that or not. But you read the defense, and you do it very quickly, naturally. But just because you're able to go in there and dunk it, where everybody goes goofy, then you don't need one dunk and 8 turnovers. I think the kid's a good player. I think the coaches are doing everything they can to get this team back playing the way they want them to play. But it's just like Missouri's all excited to play Auburn, and Georgia's all excited to play Alabama, and that's the way it is because it's a mental game.
The coach, Wimp Sanderson, is with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. Coach joins us each week courtesy of the RentalWorks division of CraneWorks. The more concerning thing to me, though, is, and I don't know if I'm alone in this, Coach, but you read between the lines about what when Nate Oates talks to the media after the games, during his weekly press availability, it doesn't feel like he's got enough guys that completely buy in to be starting, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I mean,
well, it probably does a little bit. This is not the basketball team. You lost a lot of good players off your last year's team. It's certainly, I think, and let me tell you something, folks. Everything in this life, especially in coaching, is expectations. If the word expectations is the biggest word ever. Your expectations as a radio show is to go everywhere and be good. You got this new show, and if you were coaching, your expectations of coaches is to be great. And sometimes you get your expectations a little bit too high. They might be a little bit. They might not have quite the players that they had last year. They had some injuries. I'm not taking anything up. I'm not taking up for them particularly. I just watch the games like you do, but maybe they have not played as hard, as smart as they need to defensively, and they have turned the basketball over at critical times, and they have not defended the dribbler as well as they should, I think, and they have not defended the three-point shot as well as they should. That's pretty obvious. Now, they're making the 8 or 9 a game, but their opponents are making the 8 or 9. I think they're average about 10, right at a little bit less than 10 threes a game, but they didn't get many cheap baskets or as many cheap baskets as they needed to.
Well, Wimp, Georgia should have been a get-right game for Alabama. Now you've got Baylor rolling to Coleman Coliseum, and the good news is Alabama's good at home, but the bad news is Baylor, their last couple of games, their last 3 games after losing back-to-back to Texas Tech and Oklahoma State, they're playing again like one of the top 2 or 3 teams in college basketball. How does Alabama come out? I mean, how do you beat a Baylor team that is playing like they are right now?
Well, I think it's, you don't know how they're going to play. If you play as hard as you can play and as well as you can play, you've got a shot. It'll be a very difficult game. I'm not going to say who's going to win the game. I don't know who's going to win the game, but I think it'll be a difficult game, be a tough game. Baylor had 2 home losses, back-to-back home losses at Baylor, and after winning the national championship last year, so it'll certainly be a difficult game. And by the way, after that they go to Auburn, and y'all were incorrect. You play Kentucky back in Tuscaloosa because my 1991 team is going to be honored at that particular game as well as this game Saturday. So it's 3 very, very tough basketball games. How they'll do, I don't know. How beat up that, I don't know a lot about Baylor. Auburn, Oklahoma is going to Auburn, and the boy that's coaching Oklahoma worked for me at Little Rock. And he's done a nice job with the Oklahoma team. They're probably not going to be able to beat Auburn, but he does a good job of coaching, and it could be a close game, could be a blowout game, but it'll be interesting to see.
Coach, before you go, they're about to make it official for those listening to us live in Louisville that Chris Mack is out. It has been a tumultuous run for him there. How good is that job when it's open?
Great job. It's a great arena, it's great it's great fans. They won't be hiring Rick Pitino back, but it's it's a great atmosphere. It's terrific. I recruited against Louisville and never did beat them many times. They came in. The one guy I lost, Alan Murphy, they came in and beat me on in Birmingham when I thought, doing a pretty good job recruiting. But anyway, Louisville is a very, very good job. The ACC has not played as well this year overall, and he has lost 5 out of the last 6. And so, but based on that, it's not going to be a rumor. He's going to be 88 and out the gate.
Okay, yeah, I think we all know that Chris Mack is gone. I'm going to ask you this question. Alabama and Auburn fans aren't going to like it. We know the SEC's got a ton of money. But if either one of these coaches, Nate Oates or Bruce Pearl, was offered that job, do you think they would take the Louisville job?
I doubt it. I think they raised Nate real high in order to keep him, and they gave him a lot of money in order to keep him. You want an honest answer?
Yep.
Okay. I don't think they would hire Bruce Pearl because of the allegations.
Well, I mean,
I think that's
what are you going to say to me? You mean what?
no, I mean.
Well, I guess Louisville is kind of a toxic program right now.
That's what I was going to say. Is Louisville? I think I don't know, Coach, because I don't even know what the NCAA is doing anymore.
I mean, from Patino to Mack, and that the Gaudio allegations.
Yeah,
are
that's
crazy.
back to back. I mean, Mack had to sit
they
out.
They wanted him. They wanted him because he was at Xavier, and Xavier's in Cincinnati, and they thought that, that was, and I thought it started off pretty darn good, but. It did not, and for whatever reason, and we're starting to see, as we do in football, we're starting to see basketball coaches lose their jobs. People are going to, and it's so difficult. The biggest problem that coaches have, I got it, they make a lot of money, I got all of that, is how to manage your team. How do you manage your team number-wise, scholarship-wise, in football and basketball? Very, very complicated. You guys don't think so, it is. Very complicated to manage your team. People going in from the national championship team in football to a team that got runner-up to do that, and the jumping around it's causing, and the NIL that's causing, and the money that people are raising to Auburn's got a big deal trying to raise a bunch of money. They better, and so it's kind of a different deal right now.
All right, he is the coach, Wimp Sanderson.
I want to say one other thing.
All right, fire away, Coach.
If I can say it.
Please do.
Today, Coach Bryant passed away. They came down to my practice and said Coach Bryant has passed away when we played UCLA and we won. Today is my mother's birthday. Nobody cares but me, but it's important to me that people realize about their mothers. Don't make a mistake of going and looking in the mirror when your mother has passed away and use the word "I wish." Don't do it. Don't do it. None of these kids who listen to this show, guys who listen to this show, gals who listen, don't do that. I wish I had done this, because I've looked in the mirror myself and said, I wish I had done more. So think about that, because remember, your mother will care when you see that empty chair.
I don't want to get too personal with you, Coach, but I mean, she played a huge role in your life.
Yeah, she was 93, and unfortunately, with the thing that happened to me, I had to take her with me to Little Rock, and she passed away there. But it was tough sledding, and when she wanted to come home from Florence, she didn't get to Little Rock 15 minutes until she wanted to go back to Florence. So I should have taken her back myself. Anyway, CraneWorks, I'll go ahead with Crane.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no good way to do it.
I'll run over a little bit.
No, you're fine. There's no good way to do it, but people expect that out of this show, so let's go right ahead. Tell them about RentalWorks.
Whether it's an in-home project or corporate construction job, you need to check out RentalWorks, which is the division of CraneWorks. They have everything, landscaping equipment, escalators, and check out their full fleet at CraneWorks.com. David Upson's a good guy. Appreciate you guys having me on. Didn't mean to get emotional, but I want.
Nope, we love it. We love you, Coach.
Yeah, love you, Coach.
Okay,
I'll say it too.
All right.
Bye-bye. Wow.
Damn.
A side you don't normally see from Round.